All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Virtual Day Trip to Wine Country presented by Citi. It is 7 p.m. in NYC and it's 2 a.m. in Lithuania. I'm Sam Kimball from Crush Wine Experiences, formerly New York Wine Events. We are here this evening to profile and taste an absolutely delicious spirit called Krupnikas, which you may not know about. And we're going to make some great cocktails with it. We are going virtually upstate to the town of Mahopac, New York, where this Krupnikas spirit is made from New York State honey that is produced in the Finger Lakes and delicious spices that come from all over. Krupnikas is a beverage invented in the 16th century by Benedictine monks who were living in a monastery in Eastern Europe. In the general vicinity of Lithuania and Belarus. And what is Krupnikas, you might ask? Well, it's a warmly spiced honey-based liqueur, and it was traditionally consumed at home and made at home, shared with family and gifted to friends. And until recently, like 2013, most people who drank Krupnikas in the US were Lithuanian or had ties to Poland or Belarus, where a variation of the drink is also made. And since 2013, a handful of small distilleries scattered around the country have been changing that at-home situation and making and distributing Krupnikas commercially, which is really exciting because if you've had this or when you do try it, you will be blown away by how delicious it is. And as you'll see, it's not only a wonderful spirit, super versatile for mixing all kinds of cocktails, but also delicious just drinking it by itself, neat in a glass. The spirit company we are visiting with this evening is KAS Spirits, and they're in Mahopac, New York, which is just north of New York City. And you're in for a treat because wait for it, KAS Spirits Krupnikas was rated by the Wine Enthusiast an amazing 92 points and earned it a spot on the Wine Enthusiast list of the top 100 spirits of the year in 2015. So I want to welcome everybody and thank you guys for tuning in. Welcome all. Please hit the chat and ask any questions or make comments in the chat in Zoom as we go. We will answer those on the fly during the session. And also, if you would, hit the chat if you haven't already. I see a few people have, and tell us where in the world you are tuning in from. It's great to see where everybody's located. So we're going to travel virtually to upstate New York, to the town of Mahopac, where KAS Spirits, the company we're profiling, makes Krupnikas. And we are also, in spirit at least, traveling to Lithuania, to the birthplace of Krupnikas. So I want to show in my background here a photo of where we're headed, and specifically to Lithuania. So bear with me a moment, and I will do that. It's a liqueur that developed hundreds of years ago, and we're really fortunate to have KAS and his team here. And Marushka, the founders, who will talk about it. So bear with me a second. Let me get this background up there. So, and here we go. Always fun to work with technology. Yes. And all right. So this, if you were not familiar, and if you look at the red map pin in my background, that's Lithuania. So it's way up in Northern Europe, in Eastern Northern Europe, and some absolutely beautiful territory and a really heritage-based liqueur that comes out of that region. We're going to talk a little bit more about it. We're going to get our guests in a moment here. Really cool company. We've gotten to know these guys over the years. It's great working with them. And what they're doing is innovative and really, really interesting. And especially since it's relatively new in the last 9 or 10 years. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our guests, Kas Katinas and Marushka Osman, the founders at KAS Spirits. Welcome, Kas and Marushka. It is great having you with us here this evening.
Greetings. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. This is really very nice of you.
Well, it's our pleasure. Where does this broadcast find you tonight?
At home.
At home. In
Mailpack.
In Mailpack.
The backyard of New York City.
Got it. What was the inspiration? When and how did you start KAS Spirits and making Krupnikas?
I started making it upstate in a house in Fleischmann's, New York. And we used to make it for Christmas in September. We'd cook up a batch and then have a party. And then a few weeks later, we'd strain it and have another party. And we rarely made it through New Year's. It was just, consumed very quickly afterwards. We never seemed to make enough.
He started basically in the 80s.
Wow.
That's when he started kind of playing with the recipe that his mother gave him.
And Kas, you're Lithuanian, but you were born here, but very much in a traditional Lithuanian family and household, yeah?
Yes, was born in Brooklyn, in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And we were brought up in Queens. Not allowed to speak English in the house. We spoke Lithuanian. And on Saturdays, my brother and three sisters and I went to Lithuanian school. So we are still fluent to read and write. And it was interesting going to Lithuania, knowing the language with no accent.
That had to be very interesting the first time you went.
I said to the customs guy, "This is my first time in Lithuania." And he looked at me and goes, "What?" So he couldn't believe it.
And when was it that you stopped just making it for family and holidays and tradition at home, and you started producing Krupnikas commercially with an eye towards selling it and distributing it?
Well, after I got laid off, I started making it, and I looked for work, obviously, but I couldn't find any. So I decided to try to create and sell a unique product. And boy, Krupnikas is very unique if you look at the spirits world.
Well, it certainly is. And the other thing that I can tell you is that as I've gotten to know your company and your brand and Krupnikas, one of the things that I've learned is how in demand and popular it is. There were several of the stores that carry your product when I went last week to get my bottle that were out, and I had to find a store that had it in stock. And they told me it comes in and it goes right back out. So that's a big deal. Since 2013, it was before that, it was really just Lithuanians at home making it for traditional celebrations.
Yeah, people would make it at home and they put it on a shelf in the cupboard. And that was a wedding or a christening or something, and people would come over and the bottle would come off the shelf. You pour a little shot out and everybody toasted whatever the occasion was, and the bottle went back up on the shelf, and that was the end of that. But we hired a brand ambassador who really helped expand the versatility of this product. Nobody made cocktails with it, but she was a bartender as well as a brand ambassador, and was able to practice with her bartender buddies in hipster bars in Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan. And they came up with a whole bunch of recipes, fantastic stuff, variations on recipes that people drink already. And Krupnikas is a special liquor. It really does add lots of flavor and spice to your drinks. A lot more than a standard simple syrup or something like that.
And was it only at certain times of year when you were making it at home and for friends and family and occasions? Was it only for certain times of year, or was it all year long?
Well, we tried to keep it for all year around, but we never made enough, so it disappeared.
Fairly quickly.
Fairly quickly, it was gone. you know.
And for a sort of a traditional Lithuanian consumer of Krupnikas, in those days, did people just drink it on the rocks or neat, or did you always make cocktails from it?
No, it was always neat. It was always a shot. You would do a shot or you'd sip it, and maybe somebody might pour it on ice, but it was mostly neat. Nobody thought of expanding or experimenting.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting because it's really taken off. I mean, if you follow the craft spirits world in the U.S., which obviously we do at Crush Wine Experiences, you know, this is a liqueur that is no longer a secret in the Lithuanian community.
Yeah, I mean the fact that it is such a full of flavor liquor, and it is an actual 80 proof, which is a real spirit, you know, it actually makes a very interesting addition to the home. And mostly the people that are buying it are non-Lithuanians necessarily. You know, the people that really are discovering it are more what I call generics, you know, people that are not, that never saw it or heard about it before. So we, you know, with all the rage of the cocktails, it adds a lot of different tones to basic cocktails or complicated cocktails.
Yeah, no, for sure. What is sort of the calling card? You know, what is, when people say, well, what is it? And you just have to tell them in a word or two, like, what is it about Krupnikas that's special? Or, you know, how is your KAS Spirits Krupnikas the calling card? What is it?
Well, it's hard to explain to people what a complex product is unless you say the few words very slowly. It's a spiced honey liqueur. And, you know, people don't want to get their hands on that. They go, well, is it a whiskey? Is it a rye? Is it a rum? Is it a vodka? You go, no, it's Krupnikas. And it's made with grain alcohol, a corn-based grain alcohol. And so it's not like anything else.
And I know one of the things that in learning about it for myself, it's not only great by itself, but it makes a lot of great cocktails. I mean, it's really versatile and flexible for making cocktails, which we're about to find out momentarily here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it became a completely different thing. We really were, you know, launching a, you know, your grandfather's tradition, you know, the cleanness and the beautiful, you know, color and the texture and the, you know, honey feel of it and the warmth. And then, I mean, it was like an immediate flip. It just hit a bar and then they started making all these cocktails. So we changed even our presentation. It was a much darker label. It was a little different. So it took like a whole year to get the feel of where it was going. And I mean, we were stunned for the versatility of something like this, because when we made it at home, it was, you know, it was heavy and we had, you know, to deal with alcohol that wasn't really the nicest tasting alcohols, you know, what you could buy for a home brew kind of a situation. So once we cleaned it enough in our, you know, in our business to make it palatable and soft and smooth, then people can actually taste what's in it, which is extraordinary. You know, it's really changed the whole feel of the liquor.
That as that the usage of it has expanded from the traditional drinking it neat, just in a glass. I know that it's been taken in by a number of like pretty well-known fine dining establishments. Tell us a little more about that. Like, what are some of the pretty well-known hospitality establishments that have it on the menu and serve it?
Well, we are served in the Rainbow Room in the NBC building. The Culinary Institute of America up in Hyde Park, up the Hudson River, they serve it and make cocktails with it. And we have Nomad NYC downtown, a bunch of other bars. It changes from month to month. And a lot of hipster bars in Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan use it. And it's in Connecticut, it's in New Jersey. It's those are the three states that were producing or making this, distributing the product in.
I mean, I got in the Instagram, I just got a message from Dead Rabbit. They actually are using it right now in a cocktail. I have, we know that we're like in the Knickerbocker Hotel, we're in Long Island City and in Prohibition. Like we're it's interesting because they use it a lot as a modifier, a little additional alcohol, which creates, they don't have to put so much of the original ingredients, and they do have already the sweetness that they need, but it's not a fake sweetness. They don't have to create a specific kind of a syrup, even a honey water. It's no longer needed. You have already the flavor. And now that we're experimenting with other honeys, it actually makes a big difference too between the three flavors.
And is that, so when you talk about the three flavors, you talk about buckwheat, you talk about original, or is it the honey that changes those, or is it the spices, or both?
No, it's just the
Just the honey. It's the same process, the same spices, only the honey is different, and it produces completely different flavored Krupnikas. It's really amazing.
Interesting. So black locust has a very different qualitative taste profile than buckwheat or traditional, for example.
Oh, yes, and a different color. You can see that from the color. The black locust comes from the American acacia tree. It blooms only 10 days of the year, so it's a tree blossom. It's a limited production. We don't get it that often. I don't know when we'll have it again. So probably what we have is what's left, or will be for a while. So, but we'll keep looking out for more of that. And the buckwheat honey Krupnikas is a completely different flavor, a real good sipper. And our traditional is made with wildflower and clover honey. It's a very lively flavor. It's the most popular brand.
That's great. So, and I take it that most of these places that take it in on the hospitality side are using it like Marushka said, as a mixer in a cocktail. Probably not a lot of them are serving it neat because people are looking for that special combination, I imagine.
It really depends because I have to tell you, when I go to shows, and I taste people directly, I have to say that maybe at least the 20-25% of the people that taste it just want it alone. When I taste them on a drink that I make for the event, they say, "Oh yeah, this is good," but I really appreciate it on its own.
Yeah, that's
so it is a variation. Then you get like all the younger people that really want to experiment, and they're really interested in the fact that it's an authentic handmade product because we still zest our own oranges and lemons, and we're instead of cooking it in a pot, we're cooking it in a kettle, which is the same thing, just a little bigger. And we label everything, so they like the story. They like to know where we get our spices, where we buy our honey, who, how, everything. So they're more the cocktail crowd because they are more into experimenting and playing with the flavors a little more. And I have a lot of cooking people that follow us. They love to cook with it.
Really? That's so interesting. What kind of dishes do they cook with?
Well, we had one of our neighbors made a glaze for their ham during Thanksgiving. Somebody else told us they made a creme brulee with it. Obviously when you cook, a lot of the alcohol will just disappear, but what remains is the flavors of the honey and the spices and the zest and the citrus zest. So it adds to whatever you're doing. It's a lot more complex than just doing a simple glaze or just putting sugar on top of to make a creme brulee.
Right. No,
The spices are mostly like a chai combination, which, funny enough, it became a rage. Like, oh my God, that's such a good thing. We have all of the dark spices, and then we have our vanilla is wet, so we get the full wet beans, and it's fresh ginger, so it's also another lively, fun additional flavor. And we even use saffron, which people are like, saffron? I'm like, yeah, it calls for saffron, so we put the saffron. And then the freshness of the lemon and the orange with all the heavy, cardamom and clove and cinnamon, kind of other flavors. So depending on what you're doing, I mean, you can do a malt wine if you want. Obviously, I wouldn't do it, but I just like it on its own, or on ice, because that's what we're used to.
Mhm.
But a lot of people, I'm sorry.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, well, we'll let them in.
Who let them in? So, really interesting question from one of our attendees. Scott asks, what's the most popular spirit that it's mixed with?
Actually, it's a toss-up. People tell us that they are mixing it with bourbon, and some people say gin. So
Gin. Wow.
Yeah. Mix it with gin. Gin is just basically vodka with juniper berries and some other botanicals, and our spices kind of lean into those botanicals. So mixing it with gin kind of expands the flavor palette. And
So interesting.
it's really versatile. We never realized it until our brand ambassador experimented with her friends, and our cocktail recipes are on the website, and there's almost 40 of them, from very basic to very challenging. It's worth exploring. Some very simple cocktails can be made with Krupnikas that are amazing, that give you tremendous flavors. And everybody tastes something different in the back of their nose. There's different people who are sensitive to different spices, or more so to certain spices. So that's the exciting part. One person tastes that, another person tastes that, and that's where conversations begin.
One of the comments in the chat, Kas, is that it sounds very like fall taste elements and flavor profile. And I think that's right. Knowing it, when I taste it, I get that fall aroma and the spices. It's obviously, it's not pumpkin spice, but it's got that in that direction of a fall kind of autumn feel.
Yeah, fall and winter.
Yeah,
Flavor.
absolutely. Well, so
summertime cocktails, which are truly amazing.
Well, we have one of those on our list. So we're going to start now with the cocktails. We have two cocktails that you guys are going to show us how to make. The first one is the Boulevardier, which I take it is kind of a play on the word of the Boulevardier, which is a classic French cocktail. And
Absolutely.
The bee
with a little sting.
The bee is the bee that made the honey. So the Boulevardier, I'm going to put it in the chat. That is the first one we're going to try. So there it is. So tell us how to make this one.
We're going to put the ingredients on ice in a glass, and then we're going to give it a stir, and then strain it into our drinking glass. So what we do is we add 1¼ ounces of KAS Krupnikas.
Yep.
I have the 1½, but I'll stop before. And 1¼ of the Krupnikas, and then we have 1 ounce of the Campari.
Mm-hmm. This one has a great color with the combination of the Campari and the Krupnikas in it.
We learned a lot of different things about these products. Honey is usually lighter in the spring and darker in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but that's what the bee guys tell us. But in 2017, both spring and fall honey was all very dark.
Yeah. So I'm putting up the screen with the photos of the bottles. And this, everybody, is the Bouvardier that KAS is making right now. 1.5 or 1.25 ounces of Krupnikas. And Christina has a question, so we're going to hold on. We're going to interrupt that for a second. How is it different from Bulgarian world-renowned rakia?
I'm not sure.
You got me. I don't know what
Christina,
that-
you have stumped our experts.
Well, we do our Krupnikas, we make it with a corn grain base,
Mhm.
which is not the usual in most places for
Making of a blended.
of a blended, yeah, like
Drink.
liqueur. Like it's more of a more of a spirit for because of the corn. And
Mhm.
we found that corn is the one that has the least amount of flavor. That's
It
why
is
we're
the
using
most-
that.
The most neutral of flavors.
Yeah.
Wanted the honey and the spices to come out. So no need to fight with the alcohol at the same time. So our corn-based grain alcohol is very, very smooth.
So I would think that's the big difference. And then the other difference would be that we actually cook the flavors into the alcohol. So we do not take time. It doesn't sit in a barrel. It's not something that we add the spices and let it sit for a year to macerate or anything like that. We push the flavors through heat and we don't let it rest in a barrel at all. We just filter it and then we serve it. So if that answered that question, hopefully it will.
Got it. Okay. Now mine is quite red in color. If you can see I'm holding it up to my screen. Did I put too much Campari?
No, I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
so.
We're going to continue with our drink. Let's see what color it looks like.
Okay.
We already added the Krupnikas. We already added the Campari. We're going to add 1 ounce of rye right now, whiskey.
Yeah.
And this is going on over ice into a nice shaker. And then
A
a
dash.
dash of sweet vermouth, just a dash, which is, that's a dash. Then what we do is we stir, I guess like James Bond, you stir, not shaken. And we stir with ice and we strain it into a glass with fresh ice here. Okay.
Fresh ice. So that's for less dilution with water. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes, no, it's good.
Oh, of course. Excuse me. And we just strain it in there. Ours looks pretty red.
Yeah. Yours is the same color as mine. I'm holding mine here.
The Campari.
Yep.
And we garnish. Do we garnish?
Yeah, we garnish with a peel of
Orange twist.
an
Orange
orange.
twist. Yeah.
And that kind of, if you let it sit for a while, if you see it like in the light, it starts becoming a little more orange.
I'm so glad mine is the same color as yours. I've done it correctly, which
There you go.
And it's worth the taste to make sure.
It tastes so good. The Campari and the Krupnikas together and with the rye is unbelievable.
Both flavors are amazing. That is one heck of a drink.
It's one heck of a drink. It's a strong drink. You can't
You sit
pound these.
Enjoy it. You enjoy conversation with people.
Exactly. Now this is a really good one. By the way, I tried making it the other night and I forgot to put the dash of sweet vermouth. That really changes the character quite a bit. It really improves it as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. That's a winner. The Bouvardier.
Yes.
All
Now,
right. So
you already have most of the ingredients. You can do what is known as a Negroni
mhm.
with exact same amounts, but instead of the rye, you can do a gin.
Ah, look at that.
That will change it and make it a Negroni, and we call it a honey Negroni, obviously, because it's
Of the
not
honey.
it's not a true Negroni. It's a KAS Negroni kind of a thing,
Yep.
So versatile in just one drink in two different ways.
Christina has a question. Can you make a cocktail with it by adding lemon vodka, lime juice, and pineapple juice? Is that
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You can add, maybe if you don't like if you like sweet cocktails, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But if you want it a little drier, just add some bitters. And that stop the sweetness from coming up.
Kas, we have a question about aging. I'm assuming that it once it's bottled, aging is not really a factor. It lasts forever, basically.
Well, like any other liquor that you have in your house, whether it's a gin, a whiskey, a tequila, as long as it's capped properly and kept in a cool, dark place where you keep your other liquor, it'll last for a very long time. And
it doesn't change. It doesn't change with time, right?
Oh no, it doesn't. Maybe it gets mellower a little bit.
Yeah.
But all liquor, once you open the bottle, it starts losing alcohol. All of the liquor once you open the bottle. But what it looks like a cordial. It looks like it could be like a Grand Marnier that you put in there, and then it gets crystallizes and it gets super thick and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This is not like that at all. It's not really a cordial, even though that's what they consider us. The amount of alcohol is what keeps it from doing that. But also there's no sugar. It's honey. So the honey doesn't change the sugar. Honey
is one of the things on this planet that does not go bad. They pull honey out of Roman tombs and it's still good. And to finish your answering your question, we also, since we have a larger 750 bottle, a lot of people like to keep it cold in their ice box. So I made sure that I put a twist on cap instead of a cork, because sometimes corks leak when you lay them sideways in the freezer. So I have a positive skill with a twist on cap to make sure you don't lose a drop.
Can you add it to hot tea?
Oh yeah, hot tea, coffee. One shot over ice cream is really spectacular.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Over like a really good ice cream. Sounds great.
We also mix it with a little bit of maple syrup for those pancakes or waffles.
Yeah. That's great.
That's a lively breakfast.
That'll get the day off with a kick.
Yeah, sure.
So we're going to do another cocktail now. It's called the Endless Summer. I just put it in the chat, and I'll pull up the recipe in a moment. This one sounded really interesting. Nancy said, what about adding it to a chai tea? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
If it's a hot chai, would open up all of the spices of the KAS itself. It will definitely become very, very alive with the spices. Mm-hmm. And if it's a cold chai and you want to make it a little bit cool, just add a little bit of lemon. Lemon will cut the sweetness and still give you the flavor of the honey. But both ways. If you like ginger tea, I like it with hibiscus tea. It makes a beautiful drink and it's a little bittersweet kind of thing. So all of the different teas work.
This is more versatile, I think, than any other liqueur I've ever discussed or profiled.
I think
all the things we're talking about here. It's just so versatile.
We have not hit a wall yet on making cocktails that don't taste well. We haven't hit one yet.
So we're gonna do the Endless Summer. I'm gonna put up the recipe on the screen here. I'm gonna share my screen so everybody can see it. Hopefully you guys, Kas and Marushka, could see this too. So there it is, the Endless Summer. I love the ingredients of this. So tell us about it.
The Endless Summer was invented or concocted by our brand ambassador, Faye Postma, who did a fantastic job in the beginning. We have to credit her with having A lot of different bartenders and hipster bars in Brooklyn and Manhattan come up with all sorts of variations. And this is her drink, Endless Summer. Fairly easy to make, but has really great flavor to it. So I'm going to start now by putting the ingredients into my shaker with ice already in it.
Yep.
And we'll do 1 ounce of Krupnikas. And that's about an ounce right there. And then we take 1 ounce of mezcal, whatever mezcal is your favorite.
Yep.
And 1 ounce of mezcal. And then 3 ounces of grapefruit juice. And of course, we have freshly squeezed grapefruit juice here. So
But you can do it with, with a good non-sweetened real juice, grapefruit juice from the store, if you can get one.
Well, Cass told me to get ruby red grapefruit juice, which I did today.
Yeah, I bet the ruby red is great, and most of the grapefruits are actually not sweetened. But you want to always try to look at your sugar so that it doesn't get too sweet.
we finish off the drink with a 1/2 ounce of lime juice that we have, freshly squeezed lime juice. And then we're going to shake it with the ice. All right, it's okay. Give it a couple of very generous shakes, and we pour it into a salted glass.
Right there.
Now,
With
the
ice.
salt has got cayenne pepper in it to give it a little spark.
Yeah.
Now, if you've never done this at home and you want to get your glass salted, all you need to do is have a little bit of the lemon juice in a little bowl of some sort. And then you go on with you make it really, really wet. Rubbing it with the lemon doesn't really work. And then you put the salt in a plate and you just, then you can crust it and it comes out
Very
beautiful.
nice. Yeah, very
It's
nice.
very easy, but you need to wet it a lot.
And voila is your endless summer.
I got to tell you, Cass, this one, it literally tastes like summer. It is so refreshing. It's got that acidity from the citrus. And every time I take a sip, I immediately want to take another sip because it's just so refreshing.
Easy now.
You're my kind of man.
I mean, it is just spectacular. And I'm not a big mezcal guy.
Well, I know a lot of people have you just have to find a nice and clean mezcal. What mezcal really does is it brings that smokiness, that fullness of taste of earth, because it's a plant, it's an agave, which tequila they don't they don't smoke it, they don't burn it before they process it, so they don't get that fullness, and it's a lot cleaner. So you can do it with tequila if you don't like mezcal, because it'll still have some of that earthy flavor of tequila and that that tequila flavor. I mean, come on.
I was just about to ask you, what about doing a slightly lighter version with tequila? I think would be great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do all kinds of margaritas. I'll do them with, orange juice and lemon juice together, or, pineapple with lime margarita. You can introduce whatever, citrusy kind of flavors you like, but still the honey, you don't need to do any of the, triple sec or any of those sugary waters they put on margaritas. You already have your KAS in there.
Right.
So it works really well.
Very versatile.
Right. So this would replace the triple sec in a margarita, basically.
Exactly.
Yes.
What about some, what are you mentioned to me a couple of everyday recipes that sounded great.
We have one drink that we came up with the name
Allah.
Alakazam. Alakazam.
Yeah.
Very simple. 3 ingredients. We have the KAS Krupnikas with cranberry juice, the 100%, not the cocktail. The cocktail's got extra sugar, but the 100% cranberry juice with seltzer. And it makes for a spectacularly dangerous drink. You make a picture of that, you're getting in trouble. It just tastes so good.
It's cranberry, Krupnikas, and seltzer.
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
And website as Alakazam.
Alakazam. What are the components? How many parts cranberry? How many parts Krupnikas?
Usually are 2 parts of the cranberry to 1 part of the Kas, because we're gonna add ice and the seltzer. So it ends up being like, you know, like any other thing, like kind of 3.5 to 4 to 1. On any cocktail should have like that variation. We do regular black tea, which we call the bee palmer. We do the regular black tea, a lot of lemon juice, and the Kas on ice, and it's delicious. It feels just like iced tea.
So
In the
like
fall,
it's like an Arnold Palmer, but it's got
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
With a sting, a bee.
Yeah.
So, and then we also do things like in the fall, I do a cold apple cider over ice with Kas.
Oh,
And
with
a
the apple
little
cider,
lemon.
it's really good.
good, you know?
Yeah.
So-
Also, it's like fruit juice, just goes right on down.
No problem.
So for everybody watching, I was telling Marushka and Kas earlier that I made one of the drinks the other night, and we had it while we were just hanging out at home. And I made a side glass of just Krupnikas neat in a glass with nothing else. We ended up finishing both the cocktail and the full glass of the Krupnikas neat in
Nice.
alongside. It's delicious.
It happens. It happens. You know, sometimes they like to have a nice beer and a little sip along the side with Krupnikas, some more beer and a little sip of Krupnikas. It just seems to go very well.
But I mean, like if you like ginger, you can find like a really nice ginger beer and put the Kas on ice.
KAS Krupnikas, it's got ginger in it, so it'll go good with whatever's in it too.
Yeah.
So nice ginger beer.
And for the slower drinkers, if you do the cocktails and you just want to strain it directly into a coupe, you can, so that it doesn't water down.
Right. So I'm
the slower drinker, but I just did myself as a cocktail for me.
You strain out the ice. So what's next, guys? You're in the tri-state area. When does KAS start shipping nationally?
Not soon enough. Let's put it that way.
We found a way to do the shipping, as you mentioned, on our website.
Okay.
Legally,
Producers.
producers are not allowed to sell directly to the public. Legally, it's not a possibility. But the stores can do shipping and sell to the public. So I, as I am always investigating, moving around, trying to figure it out, I found that Sussex, that great liquor store that you went to in the city, was talking to this company that is pretty new, and they were creating a platform to connect people with liquor stores and liquor stores with producers so that they could sell directly to the public and ship. And so it's like a little bit of an experimental beginning. There's only a few stores that are a few liquor producers that are doing this. And so far it's been great because they put their own cart into my website. So I'm not really selling it directly,
right?
But you can find it easily right there. And it goes to the store and the store ships it.
It's transparent.
So when people go, I put the website in the chat so everybody has it. We have people, Marushka, we have people watching tonight from New Jersey, Chicago, South Carolina, there's a bunch of people who are not in the New York area who are logged in and watching. So can they go to kasspirits.com and still order?
Absolutely. They go there, they order, and it goes right through the store, and they ship it to them.
And it gets very, very quickly out of the store and onto the consumer. Different states have got different rules with alcohol. So they know which states they're allowed to ship to, and they'll let you know if they can't ship it to you. But for the most part, the vast majority of states allow shipping.
So
yeah, I mean, it's like there's 4 or 5 that are problematic. It's Utah, Kentucky, Alabama, some of those, but most of them you send to. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's and they're pretty fast, and you guys have a code now to try to get a little bit of a discount. So take advantage. That way you offset some of the cost. And really, hopefully, it's the demand that rules any business, obviously. So if you want the Krupnikas to go to your state, we need to make noise in that state in order to make it happen.
I'd like to do another session with you guys in a few months where we get like 2 or 3 bartenders and we do a mixology, like a bake off
or something. Yeah.
Sure.
Like, the competition between them. That would be really cool.
Well, our staff has been in a lot of competitions like that because the bartenders like it. So it's not necessarily that we were involved, but I know for sure there's a bar in Astoria called Mars, like the planet.
Yeah.
And it's and they are one of our biggest supporters. They had always a cocktail in their menu. And their bartenders are really, I mean, mixologists, really.
Very, very good.
Very talented. So they have compete, and they've gone definitely on the top 3 a few times with the KAS.
Yeah.
They make a drink called a Tupelo honey. And one of the ingredients in it, I don't know all of the ingredients. I don't have it in front of me. But one of the ingredients is chamomile foam. Like what?
But it's made with KAS in it.
So I said to one of my friends, let's go try this out. And we go, and like, we're kind of like, smirking chamomile foam. And as we sipped it, I tell the bartender, don't put that away. We're going to have another one after this because it was really amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's super interesting to hear. I will say that in organizing tonight's session, Kas, Marushka and I went to lengths to do 2 cocktails where you could find the ingredients easily anywhere.
Yes.
Because in my town, there's no chamomile foam. I can't find it.
I don't know where to find it either. I think you need a foam machine, and I don't know what happens with
They make it in a thing. Yeah, it's something they made there especially. But no, it's if you look at the website and check the ingredients for the stuff, like there's another one that is basically Campari soda and KAS. It's like more
Simple,
of a like
simple.
summer, very dry kind of a drink. There's a lot of things with bourbons and whiskeys. It's easy to make with the grapefruit seltzer and KAS. Another very summery, very nice.
Like an
that one
Alakazam.
we call the ruby.
Oh,
Something I don't even.
It's on our
remember.
website.
It's
It's on our
like so
website.
many. I start to get
Yeah,
mixed.
by the way, guys, for anyone watching, there's a lot of recipes. I think it's 40 plus on the website, and they're really, a lot of them, these 2 came directly from there. So I want to also point out for anybody who's interested potentially in trying the Krupnikas from KAS, Nancy, who's watching, placed her order yesterday. She just mentioned in the chat that she got an email that it was shipped today.
great.
And it probably is. It's coming. Is it coming from you, or is it coming from Sussex?
From them.
From
We
Sussex.
can't do any of the selling or the shipping, but I sell to Sussex and Sussex sells to them.
Got it. Excellent. Well, guys, thank you so much. This was really a lot of fun. I don't know which cocktail to finish. I think I'm just going to finish both of them.
Yep.
And I'll have an after dinner drink. I'll have the Krupnikas neat after dinner.
There you go.
It's a special night.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching. Next week, we are going to California, to the land of Great Zinfandel, and we're going to meet a vineyard owner who has started an entire new American viticultural area for Zinfandel, and he's got some incredible grapes and wines. So join us next week. All right, guys, be safe, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Much.
Thank you, Kas and Marushka.
.com. We got
Yes.
everything there.
Awesome. All right, guys, be well.
Thanks so much, Sam.
Take care now. Bye-bye.